Veritas in tenebris. Lumen ad revelationem.
Hello, everyone. Tonight, we're diving deep into the lonely highways of the United Kingdom, where truckers, those long-haul drivers who roam the dark motorways, have witnessed things most people would never believe. These are not ghost stories passed around a campfire. These are real accounts from men and women who spend their nights driving through fog, rain, and the endless stretch of blacktop that swallows entire towns. So, lock your doors, turn down the lights, and prepare yourself for 3 true, terrifying trucker horror stories that will make you think twice before driving alone at night. It was late November, near the Scottish Highlands, when Gareth, a veteran driver with over 20 years on the road, was delivering construction materials to Inverness. He'd been warned that the A82, which snakes along Loch Ness, could be treacherous after dark. Slick roads, zero visibility, and the occasional deer darting into your path. But Gareth wasn't afraid of animals. He was afraid of what he saw standing in the middle of the road that night. As he rounded a bend near Urquhart Bay, his headlights caught a woman standing motionless in the center of the road. She was barefoot, wearing a soaked white dress, her hair plastered to her face. Gareth slammed on the brakes, heart hammering as his lorry screeched to a halt. He jumped out, shouting, "Are you all right, love?" No response, just the sound of rain hissing on the tarmac. He approached slowly, shining his torch. But when the light hit her face, she wasn't there. The road was empty, just wet asphalt and mist. He stood there, shivering, looking around with the beam of his torch slicing through the fog. Then came the knock, 3 slow taps, on the passenger window of his lorry. Gareth spun around, terrified, but the cab was empty. He ran back, climbed in, locked the doors, and sat there trembling. That's when the smell hit him. A strong, sickly scent of riverweed, and the faint outline of a wet handprint sliding down his passenger window. To this day, Gareth swears it wasn't a hallucination. The next morning, he learned that stretch of road had once been the site of a crash where a young bride had drowned in the loch, exactly 50 years earlier to the night. Our second story comes from Lewis, a night driver who worked the Midlands routes. He often took the A5 corridor, an old Roman road known among truckers for strange occurrences. One night, he parked near a rest stop close to Cannock Chase, a place already famous for sightings of black-eyed children. Lewis had pulled in to get a bit of rest before dawn. It was around 3:15 a.m. when he woke up to what sounded like knocking coming from the trailer. 3 knocks, spaced evenly apart. He thought it might be kids messing about, so he grabbed a torch and stepped outside. But when he circled the back, the air felt wrong, heavy, silent, and cold. No one was there. Then he noticed footprints in the mud, small, bare footprints, leading around the trailer. He followed them until they suddenly stopped, right in the middle of the dirt road, as if the person had vanished into thin air. When he climbed back into the cab, his dashboard clock was flickering. The hands spun rapidly, then froze at 3:33 a.m. Lewis started the engine, desperate to leave, when a child's voice whispered from the sleeper behind him, "Don't leave yet." He turned around, and there, in the dim red glow of his dash lights, was a small figure crouched on the bunk, pale skin, black, empty eyes. Lewis screamed, flung the door open, and ran across the car park. When he returned an hour later with a police officer, the cab was empty, but the inside of the windscreen was covered in tiny handprints, too small to belong to any adult. The third story comes from Alan, a trucker from Manchester, who spent years delivering goods through North Wales. He was used to long nights and rural silence, but one foggy evening, driving along the A470 near Bet WZ Coed, he picked up a hitchhiker, something he never normally did. The young man looked harmless enough, wearing a flannel shirt and jeans, carrying nothing but a rucksack. "Cheers, mate," the hitchhiker said, climbing in. "Just trying to get to Dolgalau." They talked a bit about football and weather, nothing strange. But after a few miles, Alan noticed the man's reflection in the side mirror. It didn't quite move right, almost lagging behind, like an echo. He glanced over, and for a split second, the man's face was different, twisted, gray, and grinning. Alan blinked, and it was normal again. He tried to shake it off, but as they reached the old stone bridge outside Blenau, the hitchhiker said softly, "You can drop me here." Alan slowed, pulling to the side. The man smiled and said, "Thanks for the lift." Then he opened the door and stepped out, into thin air. The passenger door swung shut by itself, and the seat beside Alan was empty. He slammed the accelerator and drove like hell to the next petrol station, shaking uncontrollably. When he told the attendant what had happened, the man went pale. "That hitchhiker," he said, "you're not the first to pick him up. He died on that road in 1987. People still see him every few months, always asking for Dolgalau." Alan never picked up another stranger again. Out there on the endless motorways of Britain, strange things wait in the fog, things that follow the lonely and the sleepless. Truckers are the eyes of the road, the last witnesses to the country's darkest corners. And sometimes, what they see isn't meant to be seen at all. Thank you for watching Obscure Testament. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more terrifying stories from the shadows.